Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Awesome, Naya. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you are great. So I came across a video from this woman. She is a core Republican, right? So she is trying to make you say the reason why you should support Trump still with everything going on, and that the man has really saved so much life and done have so many great things for people that it's really bad that black people are not saying the good part of him or the great things he has done. And all I can say is that you are talking nonsense. That is what I can say. So she mentioned that Oprah and Goldsberg, they are all close friends with Donald Trump. Like that man has really done so much great things that he was friends with black people. But now those people are saying him like that he is the one making black people's life really bad and making things go bad in black community and all that. And I can say yes. He is also part of the reason that some certain things are being taken away in black things that are supposed to benefit people that look like me are being taken away. So do not expect anybody from my community, except the ones that are lost, to come out and start blowing his trumpet because he hasn't done anything. Now I am going to say this thing to some people. Now it looks like some of you are not able to differentiate, or you all are so used to lying that you will never want to speak the truth about how this administration has been because you all are privileged. You know what? Let's get.
Yeah, so I've never really spoken on TDS because I just feel like it's a meme, but this actually really does apply. So I don't know if people just weren't alive yet or weren't cognizant yet or just refused to remember, but Trump was actually really well loved before he ran for politics. He was a Democrat. Liberal New York loved him. California loved him. Even red states loved him. He was just a very well-known, successful businessman. And the reason that he was so successful wasn't from laundering and horrible crap. It was because everyone wanted to do business with him, because everyone loved him. And the new generations now don't really know the good that he's done because no one talks about it, because all of a sudden he's a racist Nazi. Let's go down a short list. First of all, he used to be best friends with Oprah, Whoopi Goldberg. All of these blue black women that are now saying that he's the downfall of the black community, they used to be his very endeared friend. They loved him. Back in 1982, he filed a petition to New York City to have apartment buildings be donated off of his dime to homeless people that were living outside of that building. He said in videos, this is on video recording, he's very, very young. This was in the 80s, early 80s. And he's like, they're freezing. They're sitting outside of this building that hasn't been used in years. Why are we not putting them there? What's the point? What are we going to use it for? New York hasn't had a use for it in years and years and years. He said, let's put them in there. Put them in there. It's freezing out. He said, I will even pay for it myself. Just put them in there. And New York banned it. They completely shot it off the table. In 1987, he published a book. He didn't keep one penny. Donated everything he made from that book to charities. Multiple. Years ago, he was driving to Atlantic City and his limo broke down. He pulled over on the side of the road. A young married couple stopped and helped the limo driver and him. They get the limo fixed up. Trump goes on his way, gets the couple's information, gives a big thank you, and what do you know? A few days later, the couple finds out that their house is paid off. Their entire mortgage, the house was bought out in cash by Donald J. Trump. In 2013, a bus driver named Darnell Barton stopped on the side of the road because a woman looked like she was about to commit suicide. She was about to jump off of a bridge and take her life. And the bus driver stopped, gave her a few words of encouragement, actually saved the woman's life. About a week later, a check comes in the mail for Mr. Darnell Barton of $10,000 for showing a simple act of kindness towards that woman because Trump saw it on the news. That goes against the race card because what do you know? Darnell is a black man. And again, this was all before he was even in the political world. Also against the race card, Nelson Mandela, Jennifer Hudson, putting her up in his hotel for months of no charge just because she lost her family and needed somewhere quiet to cope and grieve and process. A couple years later, one of his campaign workers found out he was diagnosed with stage 3 bladder cancer, and if he got surgery, it would have killed him, but he couldn't afford chemo. So he was basically just screwed. Trump found out distantly because he's just a campaign worker. It's not like they work hand in hand. And Trump paid for all of his treatments, every single one. And because of that, he is still alive with us today. He did the same thing with another woman that worked on his campaign trail very distantly. Her daughter got diagnosed with a very rare and dangerous form of cancer. She was young. And instead of saying, okay, you can have this, time off, sick time, whatever, he not only paid for most of the daughter's treatments, but then he gave the mother completely paid months off to spend time with her daughter. Same thing happened when one of his employees, I forget her name, but I'm going to find it. She was also a Black woman. She distantly worked for the Trump family on their campaign trails, and she started to struggle with addiction really bad. I forget whether it was pills or whatever it was, but she was a bad addict. And she went to the Trump family and said, I need to resign because I'm an addict and you guys don't deserve this and I feel horrible, but I'm really heavily in my addiction. And instead of saying, how dare you come to work up, you know what I mean? How dare you do this? You're fired, whatever. The Trump family paid for her entire rehab stay and then kept her spot closed for her when she got out. So when she got out, free rehab, she still had her job too. And today she calls them family, the family that saved her life. In 2021, Donald Trump called every single family member that was a family member of the Gold Star troop that lost their lives in the Afghanistan pullout under Joe Biden. He not only invited them to Mar-a-Lago for a sit-down dinner, the whole room was just plastered with pictures of their children that lost their lives, but he had a whole dinner with them, apologizing and just taking responsibility that he didn't even need to take, feeling horrible for them, giving them a shoulder to cry on. The families all said, you can have the press here, and he said, no, I don't want the press here. This is a vulnerable day, and this shouldn't be out there today. We're gonna talk very personally today, and I don't want that out on TV for people to, have a field day with it. He did this knowing it wasn't going to be televised or politicized. He did this because he wanted to. And not only that, but then a few months later, he invites the same families again to his estate in New Jersey to spend a fun weekend there, maybe get their mind off of their kids and just give them a relaxing weekend to just enjoy each other and reconnect after a big family loss. Free of charge, not televised either. And again, for something that he didn't do. And every single family said that Joe Biden never even reached out. Neither did Kamala Harris, neither did anyone on the Biden administration. And it was their fault. When fair and unbiased reporters asked Trump, why don't you talk to the public about the good you do, the random acts of kindness that you've been doing for years and decades before you were in the political world? He says, because it's not for them. Why would I boast about something that's not for the public? It's for families or people that I create a bond with or I feel obligated to help because I have the means to. He says it's not for the public to know. It's for me and that family to know that I'm there for them. And these kind of interviews, they're televised, like they're out there. But the mainstream media doesn't post them. You have to go on like private YouTube channels to find them. Everything I just listed, you have to really dig to find them because the media buries it. I will argue that he is a politician that has done more charity-wise, donation-wise, acts of service, acts of random kindness to strangers. I would argue that he's a politician that's done more of that than many other presidents all combined. Yet he's the most hated and spun. But it wasn't like that until he ran. Then all of a sudden, Reid comes out and Carroll comes out and all of these activist judges that are saying he's Satan reincarnate. He wants to, kill all of you. He wants to dictate your lives. And he's like, dude, I've known you for 40 years. Like, we've done business together. What are you talking about right now? It's because his political views goes against their paychecks. What he wants to do is drain the swamp entirely. That includes Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, anyone that's taking advantage of an American system that was built to be different than how it's used today, he wants to abolish. But that's a problem for our congressmen and women, even on the right side, because they're spending money easily since it's not their money. And the only politicians to ever have a problem with it, like a true problem to take action, have been Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. And Bill Clinton was able to get it done because the people didn't stop him the way they're trying to stop Trump. Under Bill Clinton, we had 6 consecutive years of fiscally responsible spending. Medicare went back to how it's supposed to be used. Disabled, veterans, elderly, not 21-year-old able-bodied women with 4 kids trying to get a paycheck every month. And people praise Clinton for it. They swore him back in, and he did it. It worked. We had fiscally responsible spending and we weren't overspending. He cut thousands, hundreds of thousands of federal workers' jobs because he was always saying, why do we have 10,000 people in one department to do the same thing that's not even getting half of what they need to get done anyway? Fire them. Why are they here? And he did it, and it worked because we had responsible spending. Now Trump is trying to do the same thing, and he's a dictator Nazi. And he wasn't those things until he tried to run for president. Because before that, he was a Democrat that Democrats agreed with. And he was a Democrat that even Republicans could get behind because he believed in smaller government like they did. He was a man of the people. And then all of a sudden, 2016 comes, and he's a serial rapist, murderer, racist, homophobe with incredible stories about him that no one sees because the media buries it. And instead of our young generation now trying to be the resistance and try to think for themselves and try to find things, what are they hiding from me? Why do they want me to hate him so much? We have people so easily manipulated that they fall for it every single time because they weren't alive back then to live anything different than what they're living now, which is high emotion, stress, and everyone hating him. So yeah, no, this is a huge problem, and not in the petty way that most people say, like, oh, you have TDS. Like, it's a truth. It's the truth. It's a syndrome that has no medical clearance behind it at all. And it didn't until he ran for office, and kids started saying, well, if these judges hate him, then I'm going to hate him because he's a racist. When was he a racist? Because he used the term illegal alien instead of undocumented person? That's how the Constitution names them too. That's how Congress names them. This man can't do any right, and even the amazing stories and acts of kindness they hear, they won't hear it. Court injunctions for previous presidents. Biden's 14 in 4 years. Clinton, 12 in 8 years. Bush, 6 in 8 years. Obama, 12 in 8 years. Trump, 79 in 4 years and 5 months. So apparently, a minority party with less than 20% approval rating gets to go around and deny the people of what they voted for. And they are backed behind non-elected federal judges. And then they'll deflect and say that we're the ones causing the constitutional crisis. We are the ones breaking democracy. You want to hear how democracy works? You have multiple presidential candidates. The people, the voters, hear every single plan of every single candidate. Then they get to go home, sit on their couch, choose which option do I like more? Who aligns with me more? Who is doing what I want to get done? And then they go out and vote for that candidate. That's democracy. What's not democracy is having the election. Someone gets elected because the American people voted on that person. It's a landslide election nonetheless. And then the second they step foot into office, you have non-elected federal judges that the people didn't choose trying to block every move that elected person ever tries to make. So again, I'll ask, we're the ones causing the constitutional crisis and breaking democracy? Yeah, I don't think so. When again, those non-elected judges represent a loud minority in this country that the rest of the American voters disapprove of. Only 20% of America actually approves of that minority's opinion. And the rest of us, 80%, have to suffer and watch the person we elected to do the jobs we knew they were going to do because of that 20%. Obama was a war criminal who gave our weapons to ISIS, ran fast and furious at the border, put kids in cages, and deported more non-criminals than criminals all 8 years of his presidency, and even he only had 12 court injunctions. When you see a number like 79 in 4 years, you know that the justice system is being weaponized, but you won't talk about that ever. Just like you won't talk about the fact that a member of our DOJ was leaked in a conversation with a friend at a bar in saying that Trump's charges were inflated so that he couldn't run for office. And of course, none of you have seen it because the media buried it. And of course, none of you that have seen it will ever talk about it because you want to keep using it. You can't admit that the justice system is weaponized against Trump right now. And then you have the cojones to, in the same breath, call us democracy wreckers and that we are causing the constitutional crisis. Just like it was okay for the last 20 years for you guys to want to change, question, and ban, abolish 2A, but we can't question, edit, or ban a different constitutional amendment. It's the same crap, different day with this party. So I think a lot of people are under the impression that I've always been like far right, and that's why I'm so like strong-minded about being a conservative, and I want to kind of share my walk away story and the fact that yes, I was a Democrat and why I'm not anymore. So for a little background, yes, I was raised in a conservative household. And I had a wonderful childhood. My parents were amazing people. They were not homophobic or racist or anything. They just believed in smaller government, no taxes, be a modest, good person, don't do drugs, and like you're good to go. It was just a normal conservative American household. White picket fence, pool in the yard, a dog, just normal. And then I went to high school, and it was a private high school that was therapy based. It was a therapeutic high school. And not that this has any correlation at all, but it just so happened that it was about 80% LGBTQ. And it was a small school. I mean, I graduated with probably 35 to 40 other kids. Very, very, very small. I posted this yesterday, but happy Pride Month, by the way. But anyway, so I went to that high school, and that's when things started to change, because inevitably in New Jersey, you have a bunch of LGBTQ kids around in a therapy-based high school. Do the math. Of course, it's going to be a liberal-based high school. Not that the teachers would get involved in politics, which I really respected and still do to this day, but the kids. It was like just the way of thinking. Like you were basically a liberal the second you walked into that school. And I didn't mind it because there were actually a lot of things that I agreed with. So I was like, you know what? Like a lot of these social issues and gender issues and all these, I do lean left. Like I agree with these things. So I opened my mind to the Democratic way, and what do you know? I felt like it resonated with me more. I made friends with so many amazing kids there that felt like being a Democrat was the way that they felt safe, and I wanted them to feel safe around me, and I respected them and I loved them, and I wanted to be a part of that for them and just for the goodness of humanity. So I went left, like really left. And then there was a day, and I'll never forget this day because it was the day I lost all of my friends that I had spent 2 years building friendships with. Birthday parties, going to their house, coming to my house, pool parties, sleepovers. I dated a few of them. I lost all of my friends because of one specific day. It was an assembly for gun control. And of course, it was about banning guns entirely. And I remember at that time, I could absolutely get behind more regulation. Background checks, mental health checks, just regulations, having to keep it locked up, like things like that. Yeah, I could definitely get behind with a good argument. But bans, I couldn't really get there yet. Not that I was totally closed-minded. I was 15, I was a kid. I didn't own a gun. So I was, just experimenting with my thoughts, which I should be able to have the freedom to do, which is where I'm going with this. So I wasn't totally against it. Of course I went to the assembly. I wanted to hear, I wanted to learn, and I wanted to maybe think. We go to the assembly and he's talking about all the reasons that guns should be banned. And so then he made the mistake with an Athena in the room of saying that the assembly is now open to questions or comments. So non-confrontationally, again, I was 15 years old. I am not who I am today, okay? This was a 50-year-old, 45, 50-year-old man. I was 15. I was not about to get up there and start roasting him, especially when most of what he said I actually kind of agreed with. I just wanted to learn and learn kind of a rebuttal in case I heard it in the future, and just open my mind to understanding what I'm learning. So I stand up, I said, thank you for coming. Like, this has been amazing. I just have a question. My question was, if guns don't kill people, people do, what goes to say we shouldn't ban everything that can hurt someone potentially? And he said, well, because the main purpose of a gun is to shoot people. I said, well, that's not true. A lot of people use guns for hunting. I said, they hunt to feed their family. They hunt for sport because it's legal. I said, a lot of people that live up in the mountains, yeah, they'll shoot a deer or they'll shoot a rabbit, and that's their dinner. They throw it on the grill, call it a day. I said, some people just leave a gun in their safe their whole life, but just knowing it's in their house is comforting because they have kids down the hallway and they want to be able to protect their home. They have valuables. Again, a lot of these people, they don't even touch their guns in their life, but just knowing it's in the house makes them feel safer in case of burglary, theft, a break-in. So that's kind of the ramble I went on as a question. And then at the end of my question, I remember being very polite and saying, thanks again for coming here. This has been awesome. And he goes, well, yes, but the, rare 1%, like that worst case scenario group of people take advantage of it and they do bad things with it. So we want to eliminate that risk. Basically, just like the liberal answer, he went on and on and on to tell me. And then I said, well, yeah, but the same could be said about cars or knives. I remember this. I said, Most people use cars to drive and they're great drivers, but some people hit families of 5. Same with knives. Some people use it to cut garlic, others use it to stab people. I asked, are you going to ban everything because potentially some loony bins use it to create more danger for those around them rather than the right way? And he told me to sit down and let someone else speak. He didn't say thank you for your question. He didn't smile. He wasn't friendly. His entire demeanor from the entire assembly changed in 1 second. And he told me, a 15-year-old girl asking him an innocent question, to sit down and let someone else talk. Pretty much sit down and shut the fuck up because I can't answer you. And you're not thinking the way that I want you to. And now I'm uncomfortable. And what do you know? All of those friends that I had had for 2 years, amazing friends, they never spoke to me for 1 day after that day. Not one. I had one friend after that day. His name is Jace. And we were friends before that day and we were friends after that day. And not because he's a Republican or anything like that, but because he was like, dude, you really didn't do anything wrong. You asked, like, we were all there. You asked a question. Like, it wasn't that deep. He's a Democrat, but he's not like a, crazy liberal, you can't disagree with me. But what do you know? The rest of the school was, because none of them spoke to me ever again. And then I go to college, again, liberal college in New Jersey, Ramapo College of New Jersey. I dormed, I went to all my classes, and I was actually taking political science courses, pre-law courses. I wanted to either be in law enforcement or politics or a lawyer. I didn't know what yet, but I knew I wanted to do something based on law and order. And this was now in the Trump first term era, right? Because I graduated in 2015, went to college in the fall of 2015. So now we're in 2016, 2017, and then. And I started to notice the same thing, but now it's professors, the conservative kids, because I knew them. We all kind of talked. We all knew each other in the class. It was also a small school. The conservative kids would never get called on. It was always the liberal kids. The conservative kids couldn't ask questions the way that liberal kids can. If a conservative kid, and I swear on my life, this is true to my experience, on God's life right now, as a Christian. If a conservative kid interrupted the teacher would say, I'm still speaking. You can speak when I'm done. If it was a liberal kid, the teacher would entertain it. And the rest of the class, just like the professor promised, no, she never called on him. She never called on them. They never called on them. I would go to ask a question after class because I was never called on to ask my question. And my political science professors wouldn't know the whole truth about what Trump was doing as president of the United States. In a political science class, the professor, the smartest person in the room, wouldn't know what the president had just done the week before. That's when I started to notice, are people getting half truths? Like, because I remember looking this up at home. And it's on a government website. Now I have this professor leaving 60% of it out. And the same thing with my friends there. And I noticed it was the same thing at the high school I went to. And it's the same thing in the media. It's these half-truths, these worst-case scenarios that 99% of the time weren't actually happening. That's when I started to wake up and realize, am I being manipulated right now? And what do you know? As soon as I started to heavily do my own research, I found really good stories about Trump from the 80s on, of him doing good things, good deeds, random kindness acts, just fighting New York so that homeless people could get into abandoned apartment buildings that he would pay for. All of the proceeds from his book in 1987 going to charity. Paying off a couple's house, their mortgage, simply because they stopped on the side of the road to help him change his tire. Those things that the media buried, I was finding them. And I was saying, well, then why are they fighting so hard to make us hate this man when everyone loved him before he ran? He was a good guy. It was the lies. It was the hypocrisy. It was Trump can't say illegal alien, but Obama can literally get away with murder, like manslaughter at the minimum. Trump can't flirt with women, but Bill Clinton can have an affair and still get elected. I started to notice this hypocrisy and this hive mind, this like cult behavior of, obviously I experienced it firsthand. You can't question us. You could be one of us, but you cannot question what we're doing, or else you're done. You're shunned. You're not one of us. Your intentions are clear the second you argue us. What do you mean my intentions? I'm just trying to learn, like we're friends. And it's not like those Democrats at 15 years old knew any better, because the media was doing it too. And here we are 10 years later. It's the same tactics. If your mother that you've known for 42 years voted for Trump, you need to cut her off. She's a bad person. I've known her for 42 years. She's a wonderful person. She just didn't like Kamala. That's okay. Freedom of thought until it's not our thoughts is the way that the Democrats have been going for the past 15 years now, in my experience. And I wanted no part of that. So no, I'm not a Republican because I suck off Trump. I'm not a Democrat because the Democrats left me.
This is all I got from this video. And tell me you are just blind without telling me you are blind. Like, I have never, ever seen people, or I don't know if she's a white woman or she's a Latino mix, or I think she's, I don't know where she's from, sincerely speaking. But her takes on politics are just blind takes. Because with everything going on, I don't understand how some people want to stand nonsense. Because at this point in time, you are absolutely supporting nonsense. Like, no matter how hard you try to make us understand that Black celebrities like Oprah, Goldberg, and all that were once this man's friend. So because they were once friends and because they were once close pals and all that, and things that are not like with his policies that are affecting Black people, like they should still continue to be cool with him. I mean, this tells you how people are not able to separate their emotions, their feelings from the reality, because at this point in time, you all can see how bad this administration has been. See, I don't care. Sincerely speaking, I do not care who you are. But one thing I care about is if you are able, no matter how you support somebody, no matter how close you are with somebody, if you are able to know that this is wrong and this is right, no matter how much you love somebody, then you are growing. You see, that moment you as a human being is not able to have opinion, even if you love somebody and the person is doing something bad, you can be able to criticize what this person is doing bad and what this person is doing okay. But no, you people's own is, we are going to we are going to be stuck here. That is not growth. You all are not growing. You all are just stuck in a hole. How are you trying to convince me, or how are you trying to convince other people? Like, you're convincing Black people or trying to convince Latinos and other people that this man is a God sent to who? God sent to who? How do you want to convince? It is only you people, it's only white people trying to convince themselves that this administration is the best administration so far. That tells you how selfish and self-centered you people are. Because no matter how good or how bad it is, I am able to say that this is okay, this is good, and I am also able to say this is bad. At this point, it is bad. And it would be nice if you all can agree that it is bad and stop poking people or start gaslighting, trying to manipulate people into saying something that they are not saying. How do you want to convince me that this administration is great when my people are going through it? So what am I supposed to say? What can I say? She mentioned, see, from everything, I took my time to listen to all the nonsense you said, right? And all I can say is that you are the problem. Because if all your teachers or all your lecturers, all they could not, I mean, like, you can imagine a political science teacher not being able to see what somebody did, or probably not being at this point in time, are you thinking the teachers are the problem or you are the problem? That your Democrat friend couldn't talk to you? You think you are not the problem. So now look at, man, some people are just with disgusting behavior. Now you said it's gone, that unalive people, not people, or you say it's people that are unalive people, not gone. So how did they unalive people if they did not find gone? That is to tell you that some people are really crazy, moving wild. They can defend nonsense just to get a stupid point across. I am sorry that I am using all these words, but man, I do not want to be in community with people that behave like this, people that think like this. She said she used to be a Democrat before she switched to now, man, you already need God. You all say you have God. You supported this man because he loves God, but you all do not know what God is. Sorry to burst your bubbles, but that is on period. Because knowing God is being human. But I did not see you people at all showing that humanity or anything to other people. Bye for now.